Hi there! I heard you want to learn how to perfect your warring skills in this little cutesy forest game. Well, I'm here to tell you some neat tips and tricks for the most scary faction in the game. No, not that one. No, not that one either. I'm talking about the fiercest ruler of the forest. No, gosh, it's the Warlord! It's the Lord of the Hundreds, alright? The Warlord has a diverse set of 8 moods to choose from that can benefit you in several ways, but it can be hard to pick the right one in the moment sometimes. In this video I hope to assist your warring skills with the moody little critter by delving into tactics and special edge cases for each mood. Firstly, I will go over some setup tips because they can help or hinder your mood usage later in the game. Your setup choices should mostly be based around your command and prowess items. The more command items you have, the more often you can either build a stronghold, battle or move. And with more prowess items you will recruit more warriors near your warlord and you will be able to both move and battle consecutively more often. Because prowess lets you both move and battle at once and it gives you more recruiting, it's considered more valuable. Setting up in a fox clearing is a great decision because all the items that require fox craftables are prowess items. If you are using the Exiles and Partisans deck, setting up in a fox clearing also allows you to craft the Informants card later on. Because your card drawing ability is so poor and your faction battles a lot, it's amazing to ensure that the only card that you draw is an ambush card. This also allows you to employ some situational tactics that I will describe later. Setting up in a mouse clearing is a decent alternative. This clearing still allows you to craft a tea 2 times, which is a prowess item. On top of that, the tea is linked to the least valuable prowess mood, so locking it away in your hoard has almost no drawbacks. Finally, don't set up in a bunny clearing. There are 0 prowess items to craft in a bunny clearing, and if you're forced to do so, it is advised to build a stronghold in a different clearing as soon as possible. As a pompous warlord, it is no surprise you may have the feeling to show off your skills to your large army of warriors from time to time. This is where the Grandiose mood comes in. By moving and fighting with your warlord first, it can open up opportunities to command the hundreds in more effective ways. The most common usage of this mood is at the very start of the game. If you aren't able to immediately craft a command item on your first turn, you can swap your command and advance step to get to a new clearing and build a stronghold there. This is especially relevant if you were forced to set up in a clearing with a bunny suit. Even if your homeland clearing is of a beneficial suit, diversifying your crafting ability early on can be very helpful. Another noteworthy way of using this mood is if you've calculated your moves beforehand and come to the conclusion that you really need to get out of dodge before the end of your turn. If you know you may end your turn on a sympathy token that can still revolt, or a possible bomb plot, it can be smart to swap your command and advance step so you can move out of the dangerous clearing as a final move. This becomes especially relevant if your Relentless mood is already locked behind your hoard and there's no other way for you to protect your ballless warriors. While Rowdy's card drawing ability is often thought of as a mood you choose when your preferred moods are temporarily locked down, it can actually come in a pinch in certain scenarios. During the mid-game, it is a lot easier to gain the benefits of the latter half of this mood that frequently gets overlooked. By ending your turn with your warlord in a clearing with at least 3 other enemy pieces, you will draw 3 cards instead of 2. The best way to profit off of this mood is by ending your turn surrounded by enemies that you know can't afford to attack you this turn. This can be because they have very limited amount of actions or can't muster up the forces to do more than 2 hits to you. Finally, the lizards usually can't do anything to you at all, which allows you to get the spoils of the deck in peace. But why should you get more cards anyway? It can be nice to have a card or 2 on you to build a stronghold or place a mob token, but the trick is to time your Rowdy mood in such a way that you are most likely to benefit from extra cards. If the deck is almost empty and certain items that are very valuable to you haven't been crafted yet, you can use the Rowdy mood to get the highest chance possible to snatch those precious prowess items. The Jubilant mood is often thought of as a very greedy starting mood. The hope is that you spread your mob tokens around so much that you are bound to burn down at least 2 runes at the start of your next turn. The obvious problem is that all of these unprotected mob tokens are delicious points for all of your foes. The reality is that such an opening will only be accepted if all of your opponents are incapable of doing anything about it, and unfortunately it's not yet possible to get 3 lizard cults in the faction draft. It is better to use the other strength of the mob tokens with this mood. Jubilant is mostly effective for when you really want to put a mob token in a specific clearing this turn, but you do not have the matching card to do so. Every piece of enemy cardboard will be destroyed by a mob if nothing is done about it, and there just so happen to be a few factions that really can't pay the price of losing cardboard. You can force these factions to waste precious battle actions that would have gone towards your Warlord instead. These battle actions can also be a great setup for your ambush cards. Killing 2 of their warriors without losing a single one of your soldiers will make your next attack on that clearing even easier. It's of course even better if your opponents can't do anything about your mob tokens to begin with. End your turn in between 2 lizard gardens and watch your woke mob spread to the 2 adjacent clearings while the lizard player can't do anything about it. Bitter is a great way to clean up your mob tokens before your foes get to them. Preventing your opponent's free cardboard points can be just as important as slowing down their engines. And if doing so makes your rat ball even larger, then why not give it a shot? Another excellent use of the bitter mood is to use it defensively. If you were stubborn last turn already and fear an incoming attack on your Warlord, you can end your turn in a clearing adjacent to several mob tokens to dissuade attackers. Of course, this type of defense gets weakened by your enemies attacking your mob tokens first, but every battle action spent on the surrounding mob tokens is one less attack you will then have to face. As the Lord of the Hundreds, your scoring engine can be considered a bit slow. This is why your faction has been designed to annihilate the scoring engines of the other factions. And there just so happens to be a mood that helps you decimate your foes even better. Getting an additional hit for free greatly improves your rolled hits. While using the Wrathful mood, you have a 44% chance of dealing 4 hits each time you battle with your Warlord, and a 75% chance you deal at least 3 hits. Shredding through well protected clearings becomes really easy with only a few battles. If an Eerie player has a suited recruit in their decree and has defended their corresponding roosts well, you may still have a chance to turmoil them with some extra firepower. An additional hit is also a good counter to certain faction abilities like Guerrilla War and Devout Knights. It is nice to have a shield, but that gets easily countered with a gun. Also, if you have crafted the Partisans card, you can deal up to 5 hits per battle with your Wrathful mood. This means you'll only have to fight the Mauls 3 times to get to the average Maul building. Stubborn is the cream of the crop of your moods. The ability to ignore the first hit in any battle with your Warlord is incredibly versatile. Everyone knows that this mood can assist you in battles while also halving the effects of any incoming ambush, but there's a lot more to take into consideration when selecting this mood. The weakest part of your faction is ironically your Warlord. Once it falls, you will lose out on a lot of free recruiting. This is why it is genuinely a good idea to be stubborn almost every other turn to dissuade others from attacking you. The stubborn ability easily counters embedded agents, which makes clearing the map of those plot tokens incredibly easy. This is great because the crows really need some sort of nerve. The stubborn mood also lets you protect your mob tokens. By placing a stubborn rat ball and a mob token in a clearing with a Woodland Alliance base, you can guarantee that they lose a lot of their supporters next turn. By planting your stubborn Warlord and a large amount of rats in a choke point, you can make it very difficult for other factions to get where they need to be. This way you can block open building spaces or can make it incredibly difficult for factions to adhere to their decree or retinue. You basically act like a Corvid snare or a lizard garden for one turn. Finally, by simply being stubborn, you can persuade other factions to attack somebody else instead of you, thus indirectly harming one of your other foes by simply sitting your ass down and doing nothing. Relentless is an amazing way to double your firepower for a turn. If you have a prowess of 4, you can battle 8 times with your Warlord, and this doesn't even include your command step. This helps you improve your pitiful point scoring by destroying lots of cardboard around the board. The Relentless mood is very good on your final turn. Not only will you most likely have the most prowess items that you will have during the game, thus allowing you to use its strengths the most, but it also ensures that you don't get to feel the often overlooked negative consequences of this mood. Extra battle actions are great, but without the stubborn mood to assist you, you will most likely lose a lot of warriors. This means that if you don't end your turn with 30 victory points, your Warlord will most likely be easy pickings for all the woodland creatures you just pissed off. A large leap of points is not always worth it if you get bored wiped right after. Some people value the Relentless mood more than the stubborn mood, because with the help of a large ball of warriors, the Relentless mood is a great point scorer. But what some players seem to forget is that the Stubborn mood will have most likely dissuaded your foes from attacking your Warlord a few times in the game, which has allowed you to grow a warrior ball in the first place. On Root Digital there seems to be a noticeable correlation between Warlord players using the Relentless mood and crashing and burning halfway through their final turn, and their lack of using the Stubborn mood to protect their warriors and themselves on the previous turns. This is why I want to stress the importance of properly deciding between putting a bag or a crossbow in your hoard. The ability to remove items from your hoard and adding 2 warriors to your Warlord for each item removed is great in a pinch. Doing this after you've been board wiped can put you back on the board in a decent position. The key to maximizing the value of this mood is by looking at the board state and considering 2 questions. Which moods would I like to unlock and how many moves would I like to keep? When you remove items from your hoard, you will be able to select the corresponding moods of these removed items on your next turn. By removing items linked to your stronger moods, they will thus no longer be locked. When deciding items to remove, think about which moods would hold the most value to you in the near future. Secondly, because our hoard track is not entirely gradual, it can be beneficial to remove an extra item if you know you won't improve that part of your hoard anytime soon. Leaving 2 command items in your hoard is technically the same as leaving 1. The only difference is that with one of these options you gain extra warriors. When counting up your moves, don't forget to consider your looting ability. If you plan on looting this turn anyway, you might as well add another item to your hoard thinking. Let's provide an example. In this scenario you pick the Lavish mood because you really want to strengthen your ball of warriors. Let's say that at the end of this turn you would still like to have 2 command moves and 3 prowess moves. Players less familiar with the Lord of the Hundreds might quickly remove the recently acquired boot and tea for 4 extra warriors. But there's a more efficient way. First off, because you want to keep 2 command moves and leaving 1 command item in your hoard has the same effect as 2, you can remove 2 items instead. And because the extra moves from the Relentless mood hold more value than the situational ability that Jubilant provides, it is better to remove both bags from your hoard. When it comes to the prowess track, you can also make a better decision. Knowing that the Otters have crafted the hammer, you can loot a trade post this turn to add that prowess item to your hoard mid-turn. This will allow you to remove 2 items from your prowess track while still ending your turn with 3 prowess. Finally, because your Wrathful mood is more valuable than Grandiose, you can remove both of your swords to unlock that mood again. This way, you will have 2 prowess after your daylight step, but will end your turn with 3 prowess. Now that I've taught you this, I can sleep soundly knowing that you will all be fierce warlords. At least until all the upset woodland meeples start busting down my door. Good luck!